Start. Om Sahana Vavatu
ॐ सहना भवतु
Sahanau Bhunaktu
अहनो भुनक्तु
Sahaviryam Karavavahai
सह वीर्यं करवावहै
Tejasvinavadhitamastu
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
Ma Vidvishavahai
मा विद्विषावहै
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Vasudevendra Yogindram
वासुदेवेन्द्रयोगीन्द्रम्
Natva Jnanapradam Gurum
नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुम्
Mumukshunam Hitarthaya
मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय
Tattva Bodho Bhidhiyate
तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते
Nityam Shuddhan Nirabhasam
नित्यं शुद्धं निराभासम्
Nirakaram Niranjanam
निराकारं निरञ्जनम्
Nityabodham Chidanandam
नित्यबोधं चिदानन्दम्
Gurum Brahma Namamyaham
गुरुं ब्रह्म नमाम्यहम्
Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampanna
साधनचतुष्टय सम्पन्ना
Adhikarinam
अधिकारिणां
Moksha Sadhana Bhutam
मोक्षसाधनभूतम्
Tattva Viveka Prakaram
तत्त्वविवेकप्रकारम्
Vakshyamaha.
वक्ष्यामः
I am now going to share the text and which we had. World technology, world changes in the mean. Let's just that I will orient myself again. right. I think we will skip the chanting because I wanted to do it from the book that I had sent you so that you know now the flow of it. But the link somewhere, I think in this process, I have kind of don't know where it's gone. So let me just continue. We'll do this tomorrow so that you get the idea. But let me start the class since we've already taken so much time. Now you find that in the text we finished the first part of it, and the first part of it started with the sadhana chatushtayam and the knowledge of it. This verse, sadhana chatushtaya sampanna, who is the adhikari, for their sake. The author said here, Shankaracharya says, Vakshyamaha, I am going to start explaining, telling, teaching what is going to be the sadhan for moksha, the means for moksha. And what is that means for moksha? It is in the form of prakaram. It is in the form of tattva vivek. It is in the form of doing the discrimination, discernment, vivek karna on tattva. What is tattva? Tattva ke bare mein, knowing about the tattva, discerning the tattva. I am going to tell them knowledge of tattva clearly. Vakshyamaha means actually I will expound it as clearly as can be possible because it is the means for moksha. I'll repeat this in Hindi. तत्व का ज्ञान मोक्ष का साधन है. तत्व ज्ञान मोक्ष का साधन है. Means it is that ladder. Tattva Gyan is the step which is necessary and which alone is the means for moksha. Now, part 1 you saw from his beginning intention, sadhana chatushtaya. So he finished explaining that. So if you see the text in your own phones or wherever you have it, you see the first part is all about the sadhana, what we have been doing, 45 classes. The one who has that, sampan hai wo. That means if I put it in one line, the 45 classes in one line, all 45 classes in one line, means the one who is capable of quietening their mind at their will and has the capacity to direct the mind to the subject which is, to the topic which is the truth. Repeating, the one who has the capacity to quieten their mind at their will and direct that mind to the truth, knowing the truth, is sampanna. He is adhikari. He is now ready for knowledge. Tattva vivek, because once you've quietened the mind, a quiet mind who doesn't have knowledge cannot know what to reflect upon. The topic is not going to become suddenly discoverable. Suddenly you will not start focusing on what is Atma, what is self, what is truth, what is nothing. You will automatically, a quiet mind will be peaceful, will enjoy, will become very creative, will be very originally creative. बहुत कुछ capable हो जाता है when the mind is quiet. There is no doubt about it. But will it become knower of the truth? Will that mind be recognizing the truth? No, till it does not have Atma Gyan. Atma Gyan is necessary, mandatory, prerequisite for that quiet mind to have material on which it should think upon, along which it should think upon. We often give you the example of the guide map when you're traveling. Your what is that on the car you have now? Google Maps, and that who's this lady who talks and she gives you the directions on
GPS.
Google? Sorry,
GPS.
Yes.
GPS. But that she says now turn left, turn right, and etc. etc. You know, it's just got a very distinct voice. Now, having that means you're following the instruction. You have chosen. You can go on your own. I say I want to go from destination 1 to 2, from A to B. Now, I know where I want to go. I want to go to destination B, but I don't know where to start from. I have two choices. I can take the GPS help, or I can just start traveling wherever, suni sunai, kahin pe bhi. Chances are I may reach where I want to from a very long route with a lot of difficulties. It can be easy. It's all chance based. I don't know whether I'm reaching there in 1 day, 5 days, 10 days. How long is the journey? I have no certainty of it. But I have a choice. I don't have to follow anything. I can very well on my own say, moksha ka I am going to have a spiritual life. I can follow my spiritual values. I am following my own way. I'm following my own way. One can do that. Again, one can do that, but the chances of me reaching my destination are a hit and try. It's in the face, not in the dark. I don't know whether it's going to hit or not. The second thing is, I take GPS. I feed in. I want to go here, from here to here. And GPS gives me the directions. Also gives me alternatives very often. You know, this has got traffic, turn left from here, shorter route. But every point you have a choice there. But the choiceless is, if you want to reach there, you have to follow it. That's choiceless then. In the same way, absolutely the same way, Shastra Vidya, Vedanta Vidya, Atma Vidya is a GPS. It tells you about your destination, how to reach there. Easiest process in which you can reach there. For it, you have to be following it. Means you must have the knowledge of what it says. You must have the information that it provides. The information that Vedanta gives. Once you have that information, then sadhana chatushtaya sampanna जो अधिकारी है, जिसका मन शांत अपनी मर्जी से अब हो रहा है, means you have that capacity now by Shama, Dama, Titiksha and its practices fairly well enough done over a period of time. You've anchored yourself in it. It is giving you the freedom at will to be able to quieten yourself. Now, sometimes the magicians do that. If there is ever going to be another workshop, I will introduce this exercise. But till then, take it as an added exercise. The magicians do this. And suddenly something is supposed to appear from nowhere. Now, a person who's practiced those Shama Dama enough time in life, it's like, do this, and your mind automatically falls in line under your command. It doesn't have its own willfulness. आज हमारा मन बहुत अपना willfully strong है. It's very, very strong. It has its own power. It has its own will. As if अपनी मर्जी से हमको चलाता है. It dictates to us. Over a period of time, the sadhana chatushtaya being the prerequisite for tattva gyan, Shama Dama Adi practices, Viveka Vairagyam, with that desire to know the truth, mumukshutva, has to be there, cultivated along with. When spent for a period of time, the mind now quiet and begins the hearing of what is Vedanta talking, Shastra talking. That now becomes the information on a quiet mind. That information is buddhi oriented. It's material for thinking. It is material for reflection. It is a material not for further application. If you want to know how to, you heard of a new dish somewhere, and you just Google it up and you find the recipe for it, you read the recipe. But when you read the recipe, unless and until you convert it into action, you don't taste the recipe. All this falls in the realm of action. But Vedanta is not going to be Vedanta. First part is still translatable into action. Adhikaratvam is still action based, means karma based, means upasana based, means adhikaratvam based. But knowledge is not going to be something that you're going to say, now I will act upon it. Knowledge of Vedanta is going to be, now I will reflect upon it. This difference should be very clear before we start part 2. The knowledge of part 2 is completely different in dimension and degree from what part 1 has been. In part 1, you are connecting it to yourself in your limited form, in your name and form, in your practices, in your adhikaratvam qualifications. You are assessing life, you are living life, you are discerning life situations, you are figuring out what is my dharma, what is not my dharma, what is my karma, what is not, what is my duty, what is not my duty, how distracted am I, how fragile is my ego, how strong are my likes and dislikes. They are all based on the individuality. And they alone are going to be the reason for your qualification, adhikaratva. But part 2 information onwards is now Vedanta, which means as and when I am on a quiet reflective mood, and some of you have mentioned that morning time, that little time, whatever time you take out for yourself, whenever, when your mind is quiet to yourself, it is going to be this information that you're going to let the mind dwell on. The mind will not, the minute you're quiet, हम लोगों का मन आज शांत होता है, but it goes into ये करना है, वो करना है, यहाँ जाना है, वहाँ जाना है, कुछ कुछ चलता रहता है. It's like that record पे चलता है, old time records, चलता रहता है, चलता रहता है, चलता रहता है, चलता रहता है, कुछ ना कुछ. But it never gets to the point of inquiring, thinking acutely, discerning, क्या है? What is the truth? I'm not giving words at the moment. Let the subject give you the words. क्या है? What is the truth? What is the truth of my birth? What is the truth of the fact that, okay, most of you, when your own self, you have seen your body go from that tiny little being is going through changes ceaselessly. Who's governing this? How can it be automated? From where is it happening? Even if it's automated, how is it so precise? How is it? There are many questions on a quiet mind. In fact, those questions to such people become disturbing enough for them to seek knowledge. What are our disturbances in the world today? I'm warming up the class. What are our disturbances when we don't have enough adhikaratvam, chitta shuddhi nahi hai? Our disturbances are उसने कह दिया, उसने कर दिया, ये हो गया, ये नहीं हुआ, मेरे साथ ऐसा, मेरे साथ वैसा, मुझे ये. It is all centered on me. When my mind is not qualified, the test of it is, my mind is absorbed with me, my life. मुझे क्या मिला, मुझे क्या नहीं मिला, मेरा क्या हो गया, मुझसे क्या गलती हो गई, मैंने क्या ठीक किया, मैंने क्या deserve किया, मुझे. It stays on me. That means even if I have nothing to do, my mind is fairly empty, and I have always wondered. I continue to wonder till today. One of my greatest wonderments is many of us in our life have enough means in our life to live our life. We don't have to have worries. We don't have to have disturbances. We don't have enough problems in life that our food and our shelter is at stake. Yet, parallel to that, are we quiet mentally? Are we peaceful mentally? It seems to have no connection at all. I may have everything in life which another person is struggling to get. Uska disturbance to get it because they don't know from where their food is coming, shelter is coming, is still acceptable. But to the fact that I have a lot like that, am I a quieter being? No. This kind of shows to us that adhikaratvam is something that will have to be earned. It will not come automatically. Money is earned, status is earned, everything is earned. If you don't have it, you earn for it. You work for it. Adhikaratvam is going to be something also that is not going to happen on its own. We will have to work on it. Once this is ready, once the adhikaratvam is set, now it says you will get the knowledge and your mind will stay on the knowledge to think over it. Material uska मैं, मेरी जिंदगी, मेरे साथ मैं, ये नहीं होगा. Material that mind will think about is what it learns here in Vedanta. What is the truth? And that, he says, this author says, I'm going to tell you that material which your mind should reflect upon. It should understand clearly first without making it personal, and then it should think about it till you are able to see it clearly, for which, as we said in our qualification, Shraddha will hold us through. This Tattva Viveka Prakaram, now part 2 starts. See where it started? His first invocation, statement of intent. He says, I will tell you Tattva Viveka Prakaram. He finished the first part, Sadhana Chatushtayam. Now he says, I will tell you what is Tattva Viveka Prakaram. The method of Tattva ka Vivek kya hai? So the very first question he takes up is the word Tattva Viveka Kaha. Kaha is what? Actually, if he said sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikarina moksha sadhana bhutam tattva viveka prakaram vakshyamaha, we had asked the question, what is sadhana chatushtayam? He answered that, ek karke. Then the next one came in the line is, what is tattva vivek? किसे कहते हैं? क्या है तत्व विवेक जो आप हमें बताने वाले हो? What is it that we need to know about? What is it? And he gives the answer. He gives the definition. He says, Tattva Vivek is Atma, satyam, anyat, sarvam, mithya, satyam, tat anyat, sarvam mithya iti. I'm repeating it so that next time when we chant it, the words are familiar. Atma, word 1. Satyam, word 2. Tat anyat, uske alawa, sarvam, sab kuch. Mithya, word 3. Iti, definition, in this manner. Tattva Vivek kya hai? He says, Tattva Vivek ka arth hai. It means, Ma Satyam, everything else other than it, whatever you can bring in under it, what you can't see as Atma, is called Mithya. Now these 3 words, before we go into further, these 3 words are going to need some explanation. Atma. What is Atma? He himself is going to talk about in the next verse, which is, for the sake of continuity, in the next one, He says, Atma kaha. What is Atma? And he defines it. Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharirat. Atiriktaha. Don't worry, all this is going to be explained in time. First will be Vyatiriktaha, means usse alag, separate. Separate. What is Atma कहने के लिए he is giving a very interesting definition. He is saying, what is Atma to arrive at? Vyatiriktaha. What is other than that is Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharir. 3 types of bodies. Sthula Sharir, your body, gross body. Sukshma Sharir, your Antakaran, mind, intellect, buddhi, ahankar, chit, what we've done. जिसको हम हिंदी में बड़ा एवरेज तरीके से मन कह देते हैं. But सूक्ष्म शरीर it's called. आपका वो शरीर है and it's called subtle body. Your physical body is your gross body. Supporting it means what gets supported. The body gets supported by your subtle body. Subtle body is your mano, buddhi, chit, ahankar. Your own mind in general. Karana Sharir is a very specific term, causal body. जिसमें से ये दोनों आते हैं. Cause of Sthula Sharir and Sharir. It other way. Cause of Sukshma Sharir, Sthula Sharir. उससे अलग is Atma. First. Second, Panchakosha Atitah San. San means hai, exists. It is there. How is it there? Panchakosh se atit hai. And don't worry these words. We know the way this text follows. He will explain each one individually as the part goes on. Second is Panchakosha Atitah. Third is Avastha Traya Sakshi. It is the Sakshi of the 3 states. Witness of the 3 states. What are the 3 states? Waking, dream and deep sleep. Avastha Traya 3. उसका साक्षी है. चित आनंद स्वरूपः. Existing as, remains as. Sat Chit and Anand. Atma is Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. Yaha Tishtati, as it remains Sat Chit Ananda Swarupaha Saha Atma. That is called Atma. Sat Chit Ananda Atma. Understand this definition. I said I'm going back to Tattva Vivekakaha and the 3 words that he has used here. What is called Atma? What is called satyam? And what do we understand by the word mithya? You need a little understanding, clarity on the word itself. Otherwise, you know the definition of Atma, but Atma becomes something else because we are not, जैसे हम कहते हैं, all words have their corresponding meaning because we use it in language. Atma word has many meanings. People call Pretatma as Atma. English may, like someone had asked also, and it's a very popular translation, soul is called Atma. If you ask as many people, everybody will say maybe it is this. मगर आत्मा word शास्त्र किस दृष्टि से इस्तेमाल करता है? How does it use the word? To know that, just understand first Atma is actually nominative singular case. Again, I wanted to show it on I've taken out the web page, but I can't at the moment. The word is really Atman. I can write the word if that helps. And pardon how I write it because I'm not in the habit of using the mouse as a pen, but I should be practicing more. This is the word Atman. Atman is actually a Sanskrit word which is declined there. And the declension of it in the nominative case, first person, singular, nominative case singular is Atma. Maybe tomorrow I'll show you the chart just for you to place it. You don't need to worry about Sanskrit and all that stuff. But the idea of that word Atma is nominative case, for those of you who know grammar a bit, is referring to the subject. Subject. Nominative case is a subjective case. What subject does, etc. Everything centers around the subject. And then he does something is the object. So in every sentence we have the subject and the object. Subject is always the person, subjective person. In Sanskrit it's called the karta. Nominative case is the karta. The doer, as if. Subject of reference. In everything, the subject is always there, isn't it? Subject has to be there for every experience, for everything. This subject is actually what we call as I, मैं, I. This subject refers to as I of any experience at all. The word Atma in another way comes from the root an. Dictionary says this. An is the dhatu. All words come from some root word. An. And an means, it's then declined further, derived further. An, basic meaning is breathes. To breathe. Wherever you want to convey a word which has breathed in its meaning, you derive words from dhatu an. And another word is at, to move. Atma comes from the roots an and at, can be derived variously, which means the one which breathes and moves. If you get the word together, Atma is referring to the livingness in a being, of a being, whatever you want to call it. It's very difficult to convey this in English. जो breathing कर रहा है और जो run कर रहा है, means move कर रहा है. Atma is the subject. Linga Puran is another Puran like Shiva Puran. In Puran, there is this definition of Atma. A very beautiful way in which this is spoken of. Yat apnoti. Yat cha apnoti. Yat adatte. So apnoti, adatte. Yat is which, cha is and. Apnoti is the first verb. Adatte, second. Yat cha ati. Third, ati. Rest I'm explaining. First one. Yat cha apnoti. Apnoti means pervades. There are two meanings to it. One is prapnoti, one is pervasion. Prapnoti is not the one here. Apnoti here means pervades. Yat cha apnoti. The one which pervades. Yat adatte. Adatte means जो ग्रहण करता है. Grahan is the right Hindi word. English means who receives. जो ग्रहण कर रहा है. किसको ग्रहण कर रहा है? विषयान इह. Vishaya, sense objects. Iha, of this world, in this world. यहाँ पे जो ग्रहण कर रहा है, who's receiving the sense perceptions, who's receiving, ग्रहण कर रहा है, जो pervade कर रहा है, किसको? विषयान इह, sense objects को pervade कर रहा है. यत आदत्ते, जो विषयों को ग्रहण कर रहा है. यच्च आति, आति means enjoys, भोग रहा है. He is enjoying what? Vishayan iha, sense objects here. What are the three things? The one who is pervading the sense objects here means the world. Adatte, the one who's receiving the world, sense objects. And yatcha ati, the one who's enjoying the world, one who's enjoying life. Yatcha asya san, yatcha asya san. And one which, who, asya, here, sun, exists. Meaning existent. Tataha, thereafterwards. In that bhavaha, tataha bhavaha. Who exists in that bhavaha. Of what? Pervasion. Of grahanam. Of enjoyment. उस भाव में ये word mat. Because of these expressions, therefore, tasmat is therefore, atma iti, kirtyate. Kirtyate means it is right English word. उसका glory से कहा गया है. उसको when you talk to someone with respect, kirtyate, you have spoken with respect kind. Atma iti, again the definition, iti, is called Atma. Now connect the two together. Atma is the subjective reference. The subject reference. This subject reference in a casual way, we are calling it I, मैं, aham. But that's casual. The whole crux is in this only. That casual reference of I is actually Atma. The nature of this Atma is that it is pervasive of the objects. If your understanding of I, is it pervasive of object in your understanding? What do we mean by pervasive of object? Means object is outside me. Okay, let me give the examples. There is sponge and you sprinkle water on one area. What happens to the water? Or you have space is the best example, but okay, when there is rain, and there was a parched land, but because of the rain, what happened to the water? Settled down and it pervaded the soil. फैल जाती है, सब जगह होती है. In other words, there is nothing which doesn't have it. That's called pervasion. It pervades through and through. Better example is, you will get tired of this example in very soon, unless you become reflective over it. The better example will be in necklace. Gold is pervading it. Every part of that necklace, gold necklace, has to be gold necklace. Gold is pervading the necklace. ये एग्जाम्पल तो समझ में आ जाएगा. But Atma is pervading the object. And when I say this Atma is I, in my understanding, मैं as person, name and form, I am Deepti Vishwanath. Don't you know me? This is what I am. This Deepti Vishwanath doesn't pervade the object. Yet, I am using it as I. This I is what is here, though being referred to as a personal I, Shastra person में जाता ही नहीं है. The beauty and the glory, the more you start seeing this point, the more you just enjoy and revel in it. This is a totally different kind of an enjoyment that you may never have known before in life. What is the enjoyment? शास्त्र मुझसे बात मेरे शरीर को, मेरे मन को, मेरे मतलब it is not referring to I, the individual who is pervading the object. It has no context of this I, the individual. But Atma is actually being called as I by us. It is Atma which pervades. So where is this I? am bringing it in a nutshell so that even if one of you is not clear, this I that we see as Main, Deepti, Vishwanath, etc., etc., is actually a part of my subtle body that you just saw in the definition. मेरे तीन शरीर हैं, सूक्ष्म स्थूल शरीर, सूक्ष्म शरीर, कारण शरीर. मेरे तीन हैं. किसके तीन हैं? आत्मा के तीन शरीर है. मैं जो ये इंडिविजुअल है, ये कौन से शरीर है उसका ये सूक्ष्म शरीर है. I hope this gets clear now. Clear with this? When I refer to myself as this person, it is actually my Sukshma Sharir. Connected to my Sthula Sharir, no doubt. But me, I as name and form is not adequate me. It is not a complete me. It is a name and a form. इस शरीर का नाम है दीप्ति विश्वनाथ. इस उम्र का, इस जेंडर का, इस रंग का, इस रूप का, इस कास्ट का, इस व्यवहार का, इसका सबका नाम दीप्ति विश्वनाथ है. वो दीप्ति विश्वनाथ एक्चुअली क्या है? शास्त्र सेज आत्मा है. जो तुम दीप्ति दीप्ति करते रहते हो ना, ये एक्चुअली आत्मा को तुम कह रहे हो. लेकिन आत्मा तो pervasive है. उसका by word meaning है that which pervades all sense objects. But Dipti doesn't pervade the sense object. I don't pervade the sense object. Now think, what about me pervades the sense object? How do I get the knowledge of the sense object? How do I know there is a sense object? Because this is a cut short only because it's a class. If honestly we were in traditional Gurukul and everyone was a traditional student of Vedanta, and if I had the freedom, again I would have left the class at this point. Few weeks chutti again. Why? Because now as you do your chitta shuddhi, first I am not giving you the answer. You think of for yourself, what about you is pervading the object, and to give you a clue, I would give you the clue of saying, how do you know the object? I am just picking up a glass of water. How do I know this is glass? How do I know I'm thirsty? He is thirsty. अब ये दीप्ति is thirsty का ज्ञान दीप्ति को कैसे हुआ कि दीप्ति is thirsty? I am thirsty. Deepti is thirsty. Correct? I am thirsty. How did I get this knowledge? Does thirst? What happened about that thirst? Where did it become aware? How did I become aware of the thirst? If you recognize clearly, step by step, Atma is referring to. This is a very big clue here. Not to this limited sense of मैं, मेरा, मैं, aham, ye, etc. Atma is that. And that is why I said ये विषय मनन का है. You can do nothing about this. You can't act on it. You will have to act as Deepti Vishwanath, as a person. Vyavhar mein you can't go about saying I am Atma, you are Atma. This sensory world mein you have to follow the laws of the sensory world. But following the laws of the sensory world is not giving me freedom. My freedom. For my freedom, I must know, how am I apart from all this? How am I distinct from it? Am I there even? That apnoti pervades. So I see, I hear, I smell, I laugh, I talk, I do everything. But who is doing all this in knowledge of? In whose knowledge does all this happen? That who pervades, who receives the world, means आप ग्रहण कर रहे हो, information को ग्रहण कर रहे हो, आप पूरे जगत को ग्रहण कर रहे हो. The whole world is your experience ground, your ground of experience. It's a full panorama of experience. कौन enjoy कर रहा है इसको? Who's enjoying it? Who always is and never is not? Sun word is Sat. Who always remains existent. So while it is absorbing the world, he's always existent. Do you remember the definition of Viveka? What, anybody can repeat it?
Separate, the ability to separate between, truth and not truth, or like it could be separation between anything, but just.
Correct.
Can I try, Deepti ji?
Anji.
It is a discernment between two things which seem similar, like a rope and snake.
Right. Absolutely. Wonderful. So what was the characteristic on which you could differentiate?
Ability.
Okay. And
Buddhi.
Buddhi was the instrument. Correct. I don't have it here. Here it is. Yeah. Nitya anitya vastu vivekaha kaha. When we saw this, remember?
Yeah.
Nitya vastu ekam brahma. Tat vyatiriktam sarvam anityam. So what was the discernment based on? What is permanent and what is impermanent? Nitya, anitya. What is anitya? And what is nitya? When we saw that, we see that there is this characteristic of absolutely anityatvam, which is what we define as the world. It is all changing. That ekam Brahma, that one which is changeless. Now you see over here, later on you'll realize Atma is Brahman. Don't worry about it. But here the word Atma, what did we just see in that word?
That it's Nitya.
Always exists.
Correct? That it is sun. Always there. You who is always there. That which is always there, doing what? Knowing the objects, knowing the world, cognizing the world, cognizing the objects, enjoying life, experiencing life. The right word is bhog raha hai. Even bhog raha hai. Even is what? Life. लाइफ को वो भोग रहा है. कौन भोग रहा है इस लाइफ को? हम कहेंगे मैं, I. And that I is my name and form. But that name and form is not the one which is actually pervasive. I can't even pervade another person's mind. I don't know what goes on in that person's mind. क्या सोच रहे हैं पता ही नहीं चलता हमको. I don't even know another person living with me, my own partner for 20, 35 years. I will not know what is in the other person's mind. A parent doesn't know what is in the child's mind. Nobody pervades anybody else's mind. Forget about it. Pervading everything. That means, obviously, this I is not being referred to as Atma. But Tattva Vivek क्या है? Atma satyam. My hands get warmed up after this break because I have completely lost this presentation system also. I don't know what I am. Okay. So we are saying Atma satyam. Tat anyat. Sarvam mithya iti. So if you are clear on the first word, what is going to be called Atma? So when you see the definition that the author is giving, Stula, Sukshma, Sharira, Vyatiriktam, Avasthatrayam, Sakshi, which Atma are they referring to? So your understanding of this first person, singular, nominative case must be very clear that it is not referring to this individual. as, rather it is saying the real nature of this individual is Atma, which is pervasive. And it has no other meaning to it other than that. It is not referring to Jivat, what is it? Pretatma and patani kitne words use ho gaye. All of them will fall under only subtle bodies. Then the second word that we said is, so far I hope we are on the same page, everyone? Slowly sinking? Slowly sinking. I will repeat this once more tomorrow. Atma is the first clarity. Kisko Atma kaha hai? And then comes the second, satyam kise kaha hai? What is called satyam? And for that satyam, I think we'll do this tomorrow. Time's up. Satyam and the word mithya. These two words, we are going to understand them a little more, other than what we have already done before. If you remember the definition of satyam, abadhyatvam satyatvam. What was called satya is something which is not negated, not negatable, abadhya hai, which cannot be ever separated, which cannot be negated. You cannot see. Okay, so with this, we'll end the class here. I will only chant for today, just ending it. The slides are not here for you to follow. And we'll continue with this. So then we will bring them together. Not clear. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhave. Once again, welcome back everyone. I know the gap's there, and I just hope we spent it with some form of practices and tuning to it, and we keep that practice going in the background while you keep acquiring this knowledge. Do not disconnect them. Even if you're doing it at the minimum level, even if it's just one exercise, just keep it till the end while you're gaining this information. So we will meet tomorrow, everyone.
Ma'am, I have
Yeah.
a question.
And
I just want to clarify, when you say Atma, do you also mean consciousness? Are you
but
have
I
another
don't want one minute. But I don't want you to replace the word consciousness so fast because it's already available. There seems to be actually a mix-up in the meaning. Unless and until the word Atma is taken in the meaning and started to identify it. The consciousness से हम सबको पता है क्या है? I'm conscious. This is consciousness. But is it a tappable experience for you? Is it a tangible experience? You claim your consciousness. Consciousness seems to be something neuter. Atma is actually a masculine word, gender free. Brahman is gender free. That's a neuter word. Consciousness, the minute we say, we have already got a preconceived idea about it. I'm aware, I'm conscious. We have graded our whole life hierarchy on grades of consciousness. There is nothing wrong with it. It is right. But idea is that the knowledge becomes perceivable, tangible, when you equate the first person, you, I, with consciousness.
Okay.
So Atma is that word which bridges it in a way. Every time I refer to myself, I am conscious, my I becomes the name and form.
It becomes ahankar.
Correct. So this is where if I say Atma, then suddenly there is a different perception.
Okay, and I know this might be premature and we might cover this, but I just want to, just for clarity, understand when you say, you said that we'll derive to that Atman is Brahman. But I'm trying to understand when you say, like, when you're explaining us the meaning of Atman also, you're talking about that who pervades, who receives, enjoys. Is it singular about me, or are you talking about one Brahman that everybody has? I can't understand that.
Yeah, it's one.
Okay.
It is that
And
is
are
why
we
it said
parts of
Ekam
it?
Brahma. Sorry, huh?
I mean, is it like that we are a part of it, or is it that we are all
We
that
are
one?
it. We are
Okay.
it. We are that one. If you're a part of it, then there'll be two. You and that.
No, it could be that you're a part of it, as in, then you don't have to be two, you're just like sliced and diced. I don't know.
Sliced and diced would be separation then, no?
Okay.
So it can't be one.
Okay.
See, in that one also, one cake,
Yeah.
I have a part of that cake. It is a cake, but it's a part of the cake.
Okay.
It's a slice of a cake.
Okay.
So
Got
it
it.
has got separation somewhere for it to be called a distinct identity.
Okay.
So finally it will be this Atman is Brahman.
Okay. Got it.
Atman is Brahman. So
Sorry?
unless I'm able to understand what is that Atman that is getting referred to,
Yeah.
I am not going to, I may have the information it is Brahman, but I'm not going to be able to place it
Understand.
in my,
Yeah. Like symbolize it like that.
yeah,
Got it.
correct. Priyanka, you have a question?
Yeah, so basically, if we look at both the definitions together of Nitya Vastu Vivek and Tattva Vivek, then it automatically says that Atma is Brahman. Like
That's
we
right.
don't realize it, but that's what the two definitions.
Absolutely. That is why when you start reflection on it, you start bridging the gap. So how much can I bring it closer? More and more such information, more and more it starts to come closer.
Yeah.
Great, wonderful. So we'll see you tomorrow, everyone. All right.
Great.
Thank you, Deepti.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deepti ji.
Thank you. Welcome everyone
Thank
again.
you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
The broadcast.